Number 3 is a 9 patch with stripes. So again, we have a nice little mini section in here that we're not going to have to work hard for at all. But I want to create a fussy cut out of this gorgeous fabric that's just a little too big for me to put in anywhere else. I want to fussy cut out the little seed pack here. So I am marking with my marking pen roughly about an inch from the center, so that I can just trim down once I get it out to make sure that I have plenty of room. It's hard to fussy cut when you're trying to take away fabric. So I'm simply going to rough cut this with scissors. So I've used my 7/8 inch ruler to measure out 7/8 from the edges. And now I'm going to use my squaring ruler to do my cutting. So now I have my fussy cut piece that I can put in the center of our 9 patch with stripes. For my 9 patch on the outside, I'm using 7/8 inch strips and a 1 3/4 inch strip for the outside of my 9 patches. I'm going to start, I know that this is measured up correctly, so I'm going to start with these just to make sure that I get to that 1 3/4 at the end. Again, my seam allowance may need to be adjusted in order to make sure that happens. All I'm doing is using my seam allowance to create my strip. I'm not quite sure I want to go much smaller than 7/8 going through my machine in a piecing technique. So I am going to finger press this open a little bit before I bring this next piece on. Right sides together and the white piece is in the center. I start with a scant seam allowance so that I don't have to rip anything out. If I need to increase my seam allowance after I've measured, I can do that easily. It's always wise to do one block before you start strip piecing a whole bunch to make sure that your seam allowance is in the right place. I want to make sure that this strip pack is going to measure up to the 1 3/4 before I do anything else, and it is perfect. So now I am going to go ahead and iron. Before I go any further, I'm just going to double check that this is the 1 3/4 that I need, and it is perfect. So if I were doing more strips, I would go ahead and do those now since I know that my seam allowance is correct. And then bring them over here to the iron. And I am going to move, they want to go toward the inside, so I am not going to fight them. And I'm going to let them go to the inside. I could strip piece these, but I'm not making that many of them. So I am going to cut them and put them together like a regular 9 patch. I'm starting with my stripped piece, and I'm going to cut 1 3/4 inches. I need 4 of these. I try to pick a vertical line and a horizontal line whenever I'm cutting. So I'm looking at this line right here, and I'm lining up with my edge of my 1 3/4. And then I'm also going to cut my solid corners. Always start with cutting off my selvage just so I have a nice straight edge. I'm lining up there and on my edge. That way I get perfect squares every time. I need 4 of these as well. for every block. So this would be the time when I'd figure out how many blocks I want and strip a whole bunch of stuff together. So these will go on the inside of each of those. And then I have my fussy cut piece in the center. Let's sew. When stitching a regular 9-piece together, I can still chain piece. So I begin by putting 2s together. I always check after I have sewn before I go putting those others together, and I stick them back into my 9 patch. So that one's going to go there. I've got 2 purples on the outside, and now I can go back to sewing. It's nice with this one. I like to make sure that my outsides are pressed outside and it's automatically going that direction, so I don't even need to worry about it. The same thing with my inside, is my inside seems to be just already going on to the inside, so that's really nice. It just means that now that I have all 3 done, I don't need to do much pressing. They're automatically going to nest nicely. All right, so now I'm going to press it open. A little off on my fussy cut, but that's all right. Just means I have to try a few more of them. I love the illusion that these are pieced small together, and yet all it was a strip piecing technique. Now I'm going to square it up. And if I were doing multiple of these, I would square them up all at the same time. So I want to square it to 4 inches. So I am centering that line right there. My diagonal line with my corners. So we have number 3 done. I think I might have to do a couple more of these because he's a little wonky, but that's okay. I love how I've got these little small pieces in here. It looks like I worked really hard and all it was is a strip piecing technique.